My task in this webinar is to speak about the effective advocacy. That is an issue not easy to discuss because as we have seen, there is different kinds of advocacy in different contexts and at different levels. So I'm trying to present, according to my experience, and also George's one and the other board members' experience about the advocacy and what we mean actually in this field and with this word. So at the end of the day, the definition of advocacy, of course, is something that seeks to ensure that vulnerable people like thalassemia patients, or the most vulnerable in the society, in general affected from rare diseases or other severe conditions, have their voices heard on issues that are important for us, to able to defend and safeguard our rights, and also have opinions and wishes and expectations considered when the decision are being made about our lives. So at the end of the day, advocacy is a process that try to enabling people, allow people to express their views and concerns, to access information and services. It is much important to be aware of what kind of information are important for us, and of course, defend and safeguard our rights. An advocate, usually it's advocate, it's a term also officially know, like to be a lawyer, to be a politician, to be that have the main purpose to represent the interest of people that have elected them in case of politician, but also represent the interest of a group of pressure, a group of, in our case, group of patients that have to demand something to improve their quality of life, for example. Why thalassemia thalassemia associations need to have advocates and to advocate for something. And of course, to exert the advocacy, it's important to develop knowledgeable patients, expert patients, available to know exactly the condition, be knowledgeable about the context where they actually run their activities, articulate and be able to convey the message, the right message. It is important to convey what is the best for the patients, what is the best for our expectation for our future. Of course, being aware of facts and figures, it's tremendously important. And of course, according to the different countries, according to the different levels of advocacy, knowledge, the policies in our countries, the government policies in the different countries, able to understand the decisions. And if these are according to what is expected by or recommended by the associations, and of course, try to persuade the authorities that the association represents the majority or the whole patients that can be, and any proposal can be thoroughly researched and discussed before. At the end of the day, patients' organization needs to be reliable, specific in their actions, transparent, accountable, legally compliant, of course, and develop competence and capacities in their members. Only in this way, patient involvement and the advocates can become effective in their actions. Because at the end of the day, a strong national association can have the respect of the medical and scientific community, but not only, also of the population, the community at large, become actively and productively and also proactive in certain time involving the government and other official bodies, consultation and actions, be qualified in educating patients and empower patients. It is an aspect that it's very important. It is something that we are doing now. Have an active involvement in the care and prevention. We heard a few minutes ago, Dr. Shah, to say how much is important for the patient to advocate, to have a better treatment, to have a better care. And I think we can discuss it later. And of course, building a constructive and sustainable collaboration and networking. In one of my previous presentations in this kind of webinars was how to build collaboration and network, just to make an example. So, in collaboration with the health professional, with the regulatory bodies, with the industry, and all the relevant stakeholders that can have interest in our field. An expert advocate needs to be knowledgeable in our example, on all the aspects of the condition of thalassemia, knowing facts and figures. And we are going to see why this is particularly important. But also knowledgeable about health policies at national, European, or international level, depends from the context where we are advocating. How other similar associations have achieved progress. Just to make an example, sometimes we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need only to follow the pathway already put in place from other organizations that have achieved good progress, good advances, good achievements. And how to collaborate and network and lobbying in order to be really impacting on the kind of policies, on the kind of needs that we can express. Knowing facts and figures, and just to make an example, the number of thalassemia patients in your hospital, in your city, in your region, in your country, the number of hospitals treating thalassemia, where they are located, who are the doctors that are treating thalassemia patients, guidelines are followed. Is the thalassemia treatment, your thalassemia treating center follow exactly the guidelines? We have seen how much is important to follow correct MRI scan for the patient, correct hemoglobin level to keep it. This is important for the quality of life of patients. And so all these kind of figures should be exactly known from the patient advocates. And why we need to know this? These facts and figures, because it makes you reliable when the discussion comes, of course. It shows that you are aware of the resources needed. If you know exactly what you need and you know exactly what kind of resources are available in your hospital, in your country, in your region, you can also be aware of what demand to the politicians, the hospital managers, the treating physicians, etc. It shows that you are knowledgeable, and so you are serious about your request. And you will project accuracy, what you are demanding. And during the discussion with the relevant stakeholders, you can support your argument based on facts and figures. So every decision that is made based on the information that you provide means that your information has to be accurate. Because the patient's role is changing. In the last 2 decades, the patient's role is changing. Patients pass from being the passive target of treatment to have an active role in deciding and discussing with the doctors about this treatment. So, but not only, you can see in this slide a lot of relevant scientific magazines that published articles, relevant articles about the patient's involvement and considering the patients and key partners in rare disease drug development, for making an example. Of course, for doing that and for achieving such kind of recognition, also from the scientific community, it's important to identify and to be an expert patient. A patient that not only has built the capacity and competence about their condition, about his condition or his disease, but is able to exactly exert the rights thanks to the achieved knowledge of political, legislative, and frameworks, and be able to use in a competent way your knowledge, what you acknowledge actually. Furthermore, an expert patient is able also to advocate for the others, for the weakest part of the patients, those that for different reasons are not able to advocate for themselves. And so it's a specific responsibility of a patient advocate to represent the expectations of the others, the people that are much more vulnerable than us. And we can see at European and international level how much the patients' advocates can impact. And you can see listed the European Medicine Agency, the Brunetta, the European Health Technology Assessment Network, the FDA, the European Reference Network. In all these contexts, patients are members, are full members in the decision-making process, like, for example, in the committee of for the approval of medicines at the EMA and at the FDA, and their opinions and views and concerns are listened and included in the decision-making. It is important for the patients to develop their knowledge and to be able to have an impact also at this level. Okay, but at the end of the day, how to be effective in the advocacy? I think we need to develop our competence, our capacities in three different steps. The first is to decide the level of your action. It's different to work at international level. TIF is working at international level. Of course, we are very well represented from the Federation for advocating at international level in relationship with the WHO, with the European Commission. It's a very high level of advocacy that only a superstructure organization like TIF can allow. But you can also work at national level, at regional level. In Europe, we are talking about Europe, but in Southeast Asia, in Middle East, and the kind of advocacy that we can exert in the different regions is different. Of course, in Europe, there is a kind of framework that is different from what is in the Middle East. So also the kind of knowledge that we can develop of the context is different. And it's not said that everything is fit for the purpose in Europe. It's the same in the Middle East. So we need to develop our knowledge, and it takes time. It takes years of study or visiting countries, be knowledgeable about the context, about the culture, about everything. And also you can advocate at local level in your hospital or in your country or in your small region. And the second step is, of course, is to define a strategy. For defining a strategy, you need to know your stakeholders, to develop an action plan, and to decide how to manage your plan in order to be impacting. Know your stakeholders according to the level of your work. You can advocate with a nurse, simple affecting problems in the unit, or talking with the treating doctor in order to advocate for being transfused at a better hemoglobin level, for make an example, and to discuss about new developments, to discuss about new medicines, to about clinical trials. You have to advocate with your doctor, but also with the hospital manager. If there is something that you can do at the level of your hospital, or with the with the politicians, with the minister, with the Ministry of Health, in case you advocated at national level. Just to make an example, policymakers, politicians, generally speaking, are interested in numbers. So more voting people you represent, more attention you have. Are interested in money. If you are trying to ask the support of a politician because you need money for developing a project, if this project needs few money, maybe the politician cannot be interested in because you know, much money the politician is able to provide you, and much interest and much consideration he or she can have. And so it's much more interested in this way. Politicians are interested to appear. So if your projects are not considered relevant for this aspect, probably they are not interested to support you. About hospital manager, it's completely different from what we need to have from the politicians, of being fully collaborative with your association, try to support the management decision, unless of course they are not harmful for our patients, trying to be diplomatic and balanced when you present wishes and concerns in order to give a good impression that help you when you claim the rights, or will you claim what you need. Usually hospital managers don't like for you to teach them how to do in their job. You must raise your problems and let them to find a solution. So be smart at the end of the day, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Go directly to the point. What you need and what you expect to achieve without losing time. Hospital managers do not have time to lose in listening too long the patients. And so be measurable. All the achievements can be measured as they are implemented, if they are implemented. Be achievable means don't ask the moon. Try to be aware of the resources needed and ask what you think can be allowed at the end of the day. Show that the goal can potentially remove many obstacles towards a better treatment or opportunity for the patients. Try to convince that the timely achievement can allow the patient to have a better quality of life. So designing a strategy and an action plan according to the set priority, the strategy needs to be established. So write up the task and activity, explaining the reason. Why do you need this? Have all your facts and figures ready and the copy available to all the participants to the meeting. Set up a meeting with the personnel that you consider relevant for achieving your goal. And be ready to discuss with these people, to argue, to negotiate, to demand, remembering that maybe sometimes it's not possible to have immediately everything you need. You maybe need to improve your strategy step by step and to achieve what your goal in progressive step. Remember that it's better for you to convene with your member or the member of your organization everything you are going to discuss with your stakeholders, and to represent the idea that you are a community. Remember that usually one-man band doesn't work. It's better to show that behind you there is an association, there is a group of interest, a group of pressure, rather than working for yourself. Ask more than you need in order to have what you expect. Maybe if you are demanding a few, maybe you have less. Asking a lot, maybe you have what you really need. and try to be open and keep the door open for future discussion, just in order to remember that progressive steps can be also acceptable for our vision. So for doing all that, for advocate at best, for learning and for being able to achieve skill and competence, you have to follow the T-PAG for Patient program. I think we started with the creation of TIF Patient Advocacy Program. Now TIF has implemented different charts according to the region of the world, so at European level, because I told before, it's different to work in the Middle East and in Europe, or in the United States, or in different regions of the world. So it's important for the patients coming from working in the same context, in the same region, to share opinion and concerns and experience in order for us to improve our knowledge. We started in 2019 with this project. In 2021, we were 162 patients were involved. Now the number are increasing, and I invite all of you and your patients belonging to your association to join the training courses and the patient expert program of TIF. And I like to remember at the end of the day that when we started this kind of work in, I think, 2011, 2012, we were a handful of people, and now we are speaking about more or less 200 of patients involved globally. And so I think this is a great achievement. Thanks to TIF also for this important recognition to the patient's value, to the value of the patients, and the trust that the staff and the president and the Dr. Ferrio and all the people involved in TIF are showing to the patients. And thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Loris, but I need to comment on this picture that you've shown, the last picture. You were also young, you know, how many years?
Yeah,
look,
yeah, we were young at the time.
That means we are aging as we are all learning. From your presentation, which has been excellent and very comprehensive and up to the point, really educational presentation for advocacy.